I think the smartest actress in the whole series was Nazanin Boniadi, who quit. In the beginning, they're like, she's taking a year off to go, save the world, be an activist. And then 7 weeks, it's longer. 12 weeks ago, there was an article in Deadline where she's like, yes, I took a year off. I'm working to help Iranian women. And I promised that I would only take a project if it was very special. And she goes, and a month later, I found a mosquito in the ear. It's a new movie I'm doing. I'm like, did you just realize what she said? She's like, yeah, I'm gone from this.
I'll never want to be
once she made that choice, like obviously they had to kill her off, and
right.
That was
why didn't they recast? Nobody even remembered it.
I remember her name's Bronwyn. She had her tits out. She was the only fucking person that had their tits out in the show. How could you?
They can hire other women with boobs to be fine.
Could they? They haven't yet.
there is that other girl who's in
Isildur's daughter.
Numenor.
Lady girl.
I still haven't figured out what her point is of being in the show, but she has big tits and she is quite hot. So
we'll move her over.
It'd be so funny if she just fucking showed up there as a different character.
The funniest thing about the fact that they killed her off was it killed like 90% of Arondia's story. He had nothing left. He was just related to her.
He's literally just a black elf who's in love with a human, and they killed the human off. So now he's just a black elf who doesn't really have any time.
He just does action scenes. He just pops up doing action stuff, and it's like, there he
spin
goes.
around, shoot some arrows.
He could have been
away.
like a surrogate father for. What's that kid's name?
Teddy. But they cut it off,
But then they're like, well, that doesn't really fit with the black elf part. That wouldn't make any sense for him, so he can't be hanging around him anymore.
Can someone explain the love triangle with Isildur and that girl, and her husband, who's
no idea?
He has had that dude has had 2 lines in the entire show, and there's supposed to be this crazy love triangle going on between them. He hasn't even done it. In fact, if anything, the show goes out of its way to say that he's actually a really nice guy who cares for her and he's building a house for her and shit. And she's like, oh, but it makes me feel sick and I don't want to be with him. It's like, you know what? This is not LA in 2024, okay? There are not eligible bachelors that you can get on fucking Tinder whenever you want. You're fighting for survival here. This is just, it's so absurd.
I think when she heard she was going to go away with Isildur, she was like, yeah, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to cuck my husband. Then it's like, no, you can't come. Oh, I love my husband again.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Dude, what
She's
a coincidence.
For a dude who's 6 foot, makes 6 figures,
She's trying to find deer.
We're out there in the slums.
I couldn't believe he said we survived the blast. I'm like, they're not embarrassed that? Yeah, a volcano erupted, which Waldron the legend started. Come on, we can't forget him. And then Isildur's like, I survived a blast. Last season.
This show, man.
Yeah.
It's something special.
Too many stories that don't matter.
Yeah.
And this episode was especially chaotic because they had to do something to wrap up all these storylines, many of which are fucking pointless and kind of meaningless and you're not invested in. And because they needed all of them, they couldn't just skip out on the Harfoot Gandalf one. They couldn't just forget about the dwarves for an episode. They had to put everything in here, including the Isildur thing, which most people probably forgot about was even happening by this point in time. Because I don't think we've talked about him in 2 episodes.
And
it's like, and no one cares about him because he's such a boring character in this. Obviously, in the real Lord of the Rings lore, he's a pivotal character, but you'd never know it from this guy. He's boring. No. He's weak. He's timid. He's played by an absolute soy boy of an actor, and there's just nothing to latch onto with him. I don't care where he goes or what he does. 1, because I know he can't die, and 2, I just don't care about him anyway.
But I think you just said it right there. That's been one of the biggest problems is they have characters that we know aren't going to be able to die, but they can't layer them as characters and can't write anything that's pulls you in. It's like when you're watching Better Call Saul, you know pretty much what's going to happen to him, but the way they wrote him, you still want to follow his footsteps, go on the journey. But with these characters, I mean, can you see this version of Isildur being the one that cuts the ring off of Saul? No. Oh, okay, there you go.
It'll be Galadriel. She'll do it. She's gonna do it.
No,
it's funny as well. Like the one bit that I actually got quite excited is when he fucking shoves the crown right into her chest. I had a moment of, yes, he got her. Well done, my son. You know, even as like I know she can't die, it's just so dumb. But oh man, it was just that moment of satisfaction. Like, God, she's an insufferable character.
I don't even understand their entire interaction on the cliff. Like, why did she take off the ring and put it in her palm before she just decided to fucking like yeet herself off the back? Like,
I tease you with
he got into her head.
Tease you with it.
He got into her head. That's why I said if he got into her head that much, just, make an illusion. He kept making them like, oh, she still has the ring, but he took it and was like, adios, I'll see you. So the choices don't make sense in the show.
Well, she's fighting him and kind of holding her own and actually kicking his ass a little bit. And then he changes into her. And I just thought, is this their way of getting around it? It's like, she's met her ultimate nemesis, herself.
He should have just pulled out a gun. It would have been funnier.
Just transform into fucking Indiana Jones and pull out the gun and shoot her.
It's that kind of show that I honestly wouldn't put that past them at this point. It's just so weak.
They turned mithril into a medicine, so they'll do anything. We got to save the elves with mithril.
It's vibranium. That's everything.
The 9 rings were made of blood, apparently. I don't know how that works. I'm no metalsmith, but
what happened to the Balrog? It's like he kills King Dumbass the Third, and then was like, "Okay, I'm taking a nap."
Like that. Apparently, it caused a big enough explosion that it collapsed that thing back, so the Balrog can't escape now. Like,
it's like 3,000. I'll come back in a couple thousand years.
It was so weird.
The bit where, honestly, I thought he was going to say the line where the Balrog's whip comes up and like snares him around the foot and pulls him towards the edge. I thought he was going to shout, "Fly, you fool!" Like, no. Okay.
And then why didn't he use the ring? Well, put it back on. Use the ring against the Balrog. Might be a good time.
I guess they got different levels of power, and like I guess its abilities are more subtle than that, but.
But
that's not true though.
Because he's banging he's killing people with that ring. He's had power. They've shown him, knocking around his strength.
That's the problem. Is he got not superhuman, but super dwarven strength with that ring. Those rings are doing things that they didn't actually do. I don't know.
It's
like this. If only Morgoth hadn't abused pure Sour Ronald as a child. Sour Ronald.
Oh wow, that's funny. And then we never saw Kieran the shipwright again. I think that actor's like, you got me for one show, one episode.
Yeah, it's like I shaved my beard off for you guys. What more do you want? And he just leaves.
Oh my god! I just realized. Yeah, where the fuck did he go? What was the last episode he was in? Was it 2? Was it 3?
Yeah,
really early on. Yeah,
he's still bearing a ring, isn't he?
He got the ring and then took off.
Fucking hell! Yeah, he just disappeared. How about that?
Maybe eventually he'll run into the Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wow.
Why does Sauron cry? Please help me. Help me understand.